All right, so you want to take a deep dive into Madame Bovary, huh? I get it. This isn't just some love triangle we're dealing with here. This is a book that ruffled feathers back in the 1850s.
No.
Went to court, even. And somehow it still feels kind of relevant today.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head with that. This isn't about digging up old history. It's about seeing how a book over 150 years old still speaks to, like, the really human stuff we all deal with, even now.
It's wild. Okay, so picture this. 1850s France.
Wow.
We're talking rolling hills, charming villages. It's the French countryside, right?
Yeah.
Idyllic, maybe. But for someone like Emma Bovary, it's like a pressure cooker.
Oh, totally. Flaubert, he doesn't beat you over the head with it, but you feel it in the way he describes her world, you know? Like, remember that part with the agricultural show? All these housewives, well-meaning, but Emma's surrounded. It's that sense of being boxed in, like her spirit's suffocating under all the things expected of her.
Yeah, it's like she's gasping for air in a room where no one else even realizes they're holding their breath. And that's where those romantic novels come in, right? Like, they're her escape route.
Exactly. But, and here's the kicker, they're also kind of the problem. These books, they're all passion, grand gestures, whirlwind romances, right? It's a glimpse into a life she wants but can't have, so it fuels this gap between her fantasy life and, well, her real life.
I feel like it's the 19th century version of us curating our perfect lives on Instagram. Except instead of filters and hashtags, it's these over-the-top love stories.
And just like social media today, it messes with how she sees things. Suddenly Charles, her husband, he's kind, he's decent, but he's no hero from a romance novel. So she starts yearning for that intensity, that larger-than-life kind of love.
And that yearning, that hunger for something more, it sets her on a collision course with, well, reality. And that's where her love affairs come in. We've got to talk about these guys because they're not just plot devices. They're Flaubert's way of dissecting desire, disappointment, and the lies we tell ourselves about love.
It's like each affair, it's a different angle of this yearning she has, right? Like trying to build a bridge to that fantasy life, but it never quite reaches the other side.
And first up, you've got Rodolphe. Talk about riding in on a horse made of cliches. He's everything those romance novels promise, right? Handsome, experienced, a little dangerous.
Totally. He's the escape she's looking for in a person. He's the unknown, the excitement beyond her little world. And the thing is, he knows the effect he has on her, you know?
Oh, he's playing a part for sure, like feeding into her fantasies without really, I don't know, without ever truly going there with her. Emotionally, I mean.
Right, exactly. It's a game to him, a way to kill time in the countryside. But Emma, she wants to buy what he's selling. She wants to believe in this grand, transformative love. It's all straight out of those books she loves.
And then, bam, he's gone. Just like that. Like, it's heartbreaking to watch, even though you can kind of see it coming.
That's the thing with illusions, right? They fall apart. And she invests so much of herself in these relationships, her emotional energy, everything, only to be left with, well, nothing. Again, it's that cycle of hope and then crash. And, you know, it makes you think about how much we all just want to connect with something real, something meaningful, especially when society tells you you can't have it.
It's deeper than just romance, though, right? Because then you have Leon, and he's got that artistic thing going on, the poetry, the sensitivity. That's got to be appealing to Emma on a different level.
Totally. Leon, he's the life of the mind that's missing for her, the intellectual connection. She wants to be seen as more than just a wife, you know? More than just a pretty face. Remember their conversations about art, about books. That's what she's craving, someone to meet her there in that space.
It's almost like a slow burn, but even then it's a mess. All these almost moments, things getting in the way. Bad timing.
It's like Flaubert saying, hey, you can't find true happiness in these little escapes. They don't last.
And while all of this is going on, her spending, out of control. Debt piling up. It's like she's trying to buy the life she wants, you know. Surround herself with beautiful things, but it's never enough.
Right, like stuff's gonna fill that hole inside her. And this is where Flaubert, he really gets at something about society, don't you think? I mean, they came after him for this book. The way he shows how we get tricked by consumerism, by that feeling of wanting more always.
He was ahead of his time. It's like he predicted a world where everyone's telling you need this to be happy, this thing, this experience, whatever they're selling.
Exactly. And we fall for it, just like Emma. We think if we just get that new thing, that validation, then we'll be complete. But Flaubert, he shows the danger in that, right? Like, you can chase it till it ruins you if you're not careful.
Speaking of ruin, we've got to talk about what happened when this book hit the shelves. Because Scandal doesn't even cover it. I mean, think about it. Madame Bovary, in court, on trial for being too scandalous.
It's kind of hilarious when you think about it. This book that's all about breaking social rules, and then it becomes this whole society scandal.
They were saying Emma was a menace to morality, her desires, all of it. They completely missed the point, didn't they?
Well, it wasn't just about Emma, right? It was Flaubert's whole style, the realism, like showing life, desires, the consequences, all that messy stuff, and they're saying it's indecent. It totally went against how books were supposed to be back then, all those perfect heroes and happy endings.
What were they so scared of, I wonder?
I think it's about who gets to be heard, you know? He gave a voice to something, especially for women, that they couldn't say out loud. Flaubert showed how society worked, how it trapped people, especially women. And some people, they just couldn't handle seeing that.
Which sometimes that's how things change, right? You got to push buttons, make people squirm a little, and then maybe, just maybe, things start to shift.
Yeah, and luckily for us, Flaubert, he beat the case. But even the trial, it's like free publicity, you know. Everyone's talking about the book. It becomes a sensation. It helped change literature just by being so controversial.
Talk about an accidental win, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk legacy. Because Madame Bovary, it's more than just a scandalous book that made it through a trial. It's like a pillar of realism in literature. And I think a lot of people listening, myself included, might be wondering, why does this still matter? Why should I care about some bored housewife from, like, forever ago?
Because, and this is going to sound cheesy, but it's about being human. It's that feeling of wanting more, that nothing's ever quite enough. That's not something that goes away just because times change.
It's that feeling when you're scrolling online, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like everyone else has it figured out, but you're still searching. Except for Emma, it wasn't Instagram. It was those romance novels promising a life that was, well, more exciting than hers.
Exactly. And that's what Flaubert does so well. He doesn't just tell you her story, he pulls you in. You feel it, the details, the way he gets inside her head. You're right there with her.
It's like he made a time machine out of words. You step into her world, and even if you don't agree with her choices, you get it.
Right. And that's how you know it's something special. It goes beyond its time. It makes you feel less alone in your own life and your own wants and struggles. So next time you're feeling stuck, like you're missing out on something, think about Emma Bovary. Her story. It's a reminder that wanting more, that's just part of being human. And sometimes the best journey you can take is the one inside your own head and your own heart.